for actions of immense bravery. Now to a very modern aircraft, the Hawk, two-seater ground attack and training aircraft that's been used in the RAF since 1977. This is from number 63 Squadron, based at RAF Chivener in Devon. The Hawk, of course, is flown by the infamous Red Arrows, and they're on the menu as well, of course. Biggin wouldn't be Biggin without them. There you are, the Black Hawk. Let's go over to Estelle again.
Captain Colin Dunscombe, you're the pilot of the Lynx and also team leader of the Silver Eagles. How long have you been flying?
I've been flying since 1976, when I first started, way back on the days of the Sioux helicopter.
And when did you start flying the Lynx?
In 1983.
And just how difficult is it to fly this helicopter?
Actually, it's quite a simple helicopter to fly. It's got some fairly complex systems to manage, but the actual physical flying of the helicopter is quite simple.
Can you tell us a bit about the Lynx? It's actually the fastest helicopter in the world, isn't it?
It holds the helicopter speed record, some 207 knots, which is about 250 miles an hour.
Now today we're seeing some really new manoeuvres. Could you tell us a bit about that?
Yes, we believe in the Silver Eagles that we like to keep the display evolving year by year, and we've in fact reintroduced a manoeuvre which is the hover backflip, and we've brought in for the first time the full loop in the Lynx.
Now, for example, the backflip, surely helicopters can't do this?
Well, the Lynx can.
Can you just tell me a little bit about how to do it? Don't to get too technical, but just how can you do a backflip?
Well, basically, what we ask the helicopter to do is to go into a slight climb, holding its position over a point on the ground, and then a back somersault.
And is it dangerous, Colin?
No. If it were, I wouldn't be doing it.
Anything else you're developing within the team?
Not at the moment, but look out next year. We might have a couple of new ones then.
Looking forward to the display. Thank you very much, Colin.
Thank you very much.
And thank you, Estelle. Well, this surely must be the star of Biggin 1993. This is the Russian Sukhoi Su-27. We saw it last year here at Biggin, and it completely thrilled the crowd and myself, I hasten to add. Full reheat, off he goes, and you will see this aeroplane really thrown around in the most magnificent way by Anatoly Kovachoy, who we saw also last year. He's a test pilot, and he should know what he's doing, and he certainly does. All these maneuvers on this very heavy aircraft, well over 30 tons of it, are thrown around within the Biggin Hill airfield itself. So that gives you some idea. Now, this maneuver is just quite staggering. Engines virtually off. Why he doesn't get a flame out, I don't never know. And he just lets it sink right back down on its tail. That must be one of the most historic maneuvers ever done in a jet aircraft. Because the problem is, I'm not quite sure of his secret, if he went backwards too fast, he'd blow the engines out, and then he would come tumbling to the floor. But no, I've seen him do it many times, and what a maneuver it is. Now, picking up the pace in the Sukhoi, as you can see, highly maneuverable, comparable very much to the F-16 Eagle. Usually armed with some 10 missiles and a 30mm cannon. It's believed to have a range of some 800 miles. Now, Anatoly pulls it over in a very, very tight loop for such an enormous aircraft. It can, in fact, reach over 53,000 feet, and very quickly at that. Now, here we see the slow fly past, and you'll see as he goes past the enormous angle of attack as the nose is stuck right up in the air. I'm sure Anatoly can't see very much. Slowing right down there. An amazing performance, keeping that aeroplane in the air by sheer brute force. It's, in fact, commonly known as the flanker, this aircraft. It's designed to counter cruise missiles and low-flying aircraft. All I can say is, thank goodness we never actually had to see it in combat while the Cold War was on, because I think it would have proved itself beyond any shadow of a doubt. See the rate of roll for such an enormous aeroplane. It's almost like a little pit special up there. Pulling massive G round the turns. And the undercarriage coming down to boot. So Anatoly never lets us down. This is the second year running that we've had an absolutely superb display. The Sukhoi Su-27 flanker. See that tailplane really working as he pulls the aircraft round, and the huge air brake just behind the cockpit there to help slow everything down. And he'll keep the nose in the air for as long as he can to get as much drag off those wings. And again, you can see the tailplane working quite vigorously as he brings this beast to a halt. It's not any big hardware like that, but also hot air balloons. Obviously, we can't fly them here at Biggin today because we've got aircraft in the air, as you can see. This takes us right back to the Great War, 1914-18 war. This was a very successful German aircraft, Fokker D7. Of course, it's not a real one. It's actually a replica. I suppose that war could be classed as probably one of the bloodiest in history. And although it's tinged with nostalgia now, it's certain there was nothing nostalgic about it whatsoever. In this sequence of flying, we were expecting to see the Fokker triplane, which was probably the most successful of the German fighters, flown by the famous or infamous Baron von Richthofen, but I gather it's not working today, so we've got this as a replacement. So just close your eyes and pretend it has 3 sets of wings, and then you won't be far off it. In fact, the Germans, right up until 1917, were winning hands down in the air until this aircraft came along, the SE-5A, which was far more advanced than anything the British had managed to produce before that. As you can see, it actually has a machine gun on it. Now, in the early days of World War I, there weren't even machine guns or any armament at all on aircraft. They were simply used as scouts to help the army. But by 1917, we'd got a number of aces who had perfected the art of knocking down other aircraft. As you can see, a Lewis gun above the pilot there. It was actually on a ratchet, and one of the techniques was to pull it back on the ratchet, come underneath the German aircraft, and fire up into its belly, and thus, of course, getting what they laughingly called a kill. It was, as I say, a very, very bloody conflict indeed. And it wasn't really until the last 18 months that the British actually managed to score anything like victories over the Germans. And there we have a nice Sopwith pup joined in above there. And that sort of concludes our look at the Great War. Oh, this is ridiculous. This is, believe it or not, a car piloted or driven by Colin Fellows. The engine in the back of this thing is a Rolls-Royce Olympus turbo jet, and it's hopefully going to blast him to a new British record. It takes just 6 seconds to reach 272 miles an hour. That's from a standing start. And of course, stopping, not easy either. 4 disc brakes and lots of parachutes. Rather him than me. Gazelles. From the Silver Eagles. Well, we heard from the team leader earlier on in the programme.